To me, differentiation and inclusion is about making sure we create classrooms that honor all kinds of learners, so that anyone who comes into our classrooms feels like they're included, like they are getting learning in the way that their brains learn the best. To me, the most effective qualities of teacher leaders, first and foremost, is the willingness to be a risk taker and a mistake maker, and to learn and grow yourself, because I don't think we can model for teachers or students how to be a growth mindset educator or student if we're not living that ourselves. And then I think to be compassionate and empathetic and bring that compassion into the relationships that you work with, whether it's with teachers again or students. And then finally to be pedagogically solid, to have the best brain research practices so that you know that you're bringing effective techniques into your instruction. I still am concerned that teachers are coming out of universities with a solid understanding of what we're learning, because we don't have all the information right now, but there's a growing body of knowledge about how the brain learns. And so we're starting to understand which practices are effective for helping all different kinds of learners learn, which is really the basis for what we want to do with differentiation. So the more that the teachers understand how the brain learns, the more they can use that knowledge to help kids understand. I mean, ultimately, we want kids to understand that they can be in control of their learning lives if they understand how their brains learn. So I don't think teachers are there yet, because I think we're in a phase of really new understanding about it. And we all need to work together, the scientists, the university professors, the educators, to deepen our understanding so that we can deepen our practice. Learning style is kind of more surface level of what we understand about the brain and learning. There's actually way more depth and knowledge about beyond learning styles, about how the brain functions. We know a lot about the prefrontal cortex now, and how that impacts self-regulation and how students learn and how they can be in control and develop. So we know that self-regulation is a taught skill, so that things like planning and attention can be developed and taught. And that, for me, is a bigger handle on knowing how my brain works than just knowing what my learning style is. What have my students taught me about how to be a more powerful teacher? And there's so many things I could say here, because it's them, learning from them has been more important to me than what I've taught them in a lot of ways. I would say that when I really pay attention to my kids and who they are and what they need, then I learn both emotionally and culturally and academically how to become a better teacher, how to become a better person, how to become richer in my own life. So they've taught me to really look at people closely and understand who they are, and understand that they all need something different, and to be compassionate about that. The most surprising thing that I'm learning from teachers today as I go across the country, and the things that concern me, and the reason this work is so important, I'm hearing a tremendous amount from teachers across the country about how anxious kids are. And that surprises me and concerns me. And how do we, when we're pushing high stakes testing as opposed to lifelong learning, and there's a pressure for grades and points and scores as opposed to developing our minds, I think we're creating a lot of these anxious kids. The other thing I hear that concerns me is how many kids are enabled and entitled, one or the other. So they're coming to school. So I think there's things happening at the home front, but then we kind of end up supporting it in school as well by doing things for kids instead of teaching them how to do it. And for me, it's a concern when I hear across the nation that kids are anxious, that they're entitled, that they're enabled. And I always say, if we don't like the way kids are acting, or we're worried about who they are, we're the grown-ups. So we're the only ones who can change that. And how can we do that across the country? The biggest takeaways I would like teachers to walk away with from today's presentation, first and foremost, is that differentiation is a way of thinking and believing about kids in your classroom. And that to do it effectively, it's not just about having a lot of cute little strategies that you do that are fun, but that they're deep and engaging, and that the kids understand and the teachers understand that these techniques are about how their brains learn. And so we're bringing kids into the learning process, not just doing activities at them, but doing them with them, so that they, again, walk away understanding what they can do when we're not around. They know that these techniques are things that they can do to help them learn effectively throughout their schooling and in their lives beyond. So I want them to have teachers to have practical strategies, but not with understanding that there's a deeper way to differentiate, which is to create that classroom that's intentional and transparent, where we're all part of the process together. If I had a magic wand and I could change anything about education today, I would make sure that as a nation, we brought the best and the brightest of our young people into the profession. We made sure that they were learning the best practices that are out there, and that we paid them commensurate for being the best and the brightest. You know, it's a hard job, and that needs to happen not just in our top schools, but in our most challenging schools, because we won't change America to be the great nation it can be if we're not bringing in kids from all socioeconomic levels and making sure they get what they need. And they need quality teachers to do that. If I could describe my perfect school, there would be collaboration happening everywhere. Collaboration between teachers, collaboration between teachers and students, students amongst themselves, and parents. So we'd all be on the same page. We wouldn't wonder what other people are doing, but we'd be moving towards a common goal of teaching kids to be creative thinkers, teaching them to be critical thinkers, teaching them to be part of a community, teaching them to collaborate and learn together. And I think if we live that ourselves as teachers and parents, and we also create that in classrooms, I think we could change the world and be the change we want to see in the world.